This is your Spotlight on Now. I'm Kimberly De Souza. Now, the Trinidad and Tobago Taxi Drivers Network called for citizens to stay off the roads on Tuesday as a way to protest the increase in fuel prices. Now, on the line with me, I have the president of the network, Mr. Adrian Acosta, who is going to talk about the protest action yesterday and if this will have any effects on the taxi fares. Mr. Acosta, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the Now Morning Show.
Morning to you, Mama. Morning to the viewing audience.
Now, Mr. Acosta, I know you would have gotten initial reports from yesterday. I mean, was the protest action successful? Did you get the expected outcome that you wanted to?
For the network, yes, we did get the outcome that we wanted. At least 95% of what we wanted done, pertaining to the call for taxis and other individuals, such as the citizens of the country, to stay at home. We only got about 50% of the persons adhering to the call, right? But on the network side, we achieved 95% of what we set out to do.
Now, with the 90% of the drivers missing, I assume that the PH drivers might have been out in full force.
Well, at the end of the day, we could argue that until the show done, because PH is illegal, right? And if it is that you are, let me say, you especially are supporting illegal entity taking up the slack to do the work of the taxi drivers, well, then we are going nowhere as a country. Because if we are willing to support somebody who's breaking the law in order for us to have a victory over something, well, then we are doomed as a country.
Now, Mr. Acosta, the opposition would have also had a protest action yesterday. Did the network join forces with the opposition or any other stakeholders in this?
We sent out a message to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So whether you are in opposition, whether you are in government, whether you are taxi driver, whether you are maxi driver, whether you are a worker in the Ministry of Works, whether you work in the Twin Towers, we sent out a call to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. This was not about taxi and maxi. It was about the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because we have heard and we are accustomed hearing people complaining, taxi price going up, everything in the grocery going up, this expensive, that going up, books going up, this going up. But if you are complaining as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago and you are willing to stand up and do nothing, our motto to you is shut up and take what you're getting.
Strong words there, Mr. Acosta. Now, Mr. Acosta, even before the protest action yesterday, just backing up a bit, you said that at least 90% of your network, they heeded the call. But even before then, there were some drivers that were saying basically they're not going to stay at home. They're going to come out and they're going to continue that service to the public. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that's wrong information. I didn't say 90. I said 50%.
50%.
Right? 50% of the taxi, yes, 50% of the taxi drivers and 50% of the citizens, they heeded our call, right? What I said is the network achieved 95% of what we set out to do.
And for the drivers who were even at the front, they were saying that they were still going to come out and service the public. Any opinions on that? Because I know some drivers still came out and they were of service.
That's their choice. That's their choice. At the end of the day, as I said, we complain because I'm around those drivers on a daily basis and they complain about the high fuel costs. But at the end of the day, what are they willing to stand up and do? Right? They pay more attention to things that have no interest to them. And when it is that they are under pressure, they come and they complain. Right? So at the end of the day, as I said, and it's not just about taxi drivers, it's about the citizens of this country. So we are saying again, if you have to complain and do nothing, don't complain. Take what you're getting.
Now, Mr. Acosta, some people would have questioned the timing of the protest action. I mean, this coincided with the reopening of school for all students. And of course, the Minister of Finance would have announced the price increase a few weeks ago. So why did you want it to coincide with school opening yesterday?
What is the big issue about school opening yesterday? Children was home for 2.5 years. One day to stand up for something, because what is going to go on? This fuel increase is going to affect them one way or the other. Whether it's by traveling, whether it's by going grocery to make groceries for them to make their breakfast and their lunch to carry to school, whether it's the school book prices are going to go up, whether it's the uniform prices are going to go up, because the businessmen and businesswomen of this country are not going to absorb that price increase. They are going to pass it on to the citizens of this country.
No, but Mr. Acosta, I believe the argument would have been that it was a busy day when a lot of people who don't have cars would have depending on the taxi service to take them from point A to point B. So they were just wondering in terms of the timing of it, why did you choose yesterday rather than, sooner when the minister would have made the announcement?
Yesterday was a day that the government said that they were going to implement the measure. No other day did it. They said on the 19th of April, Tuesday the 19th of April, they said they was going to implement the measure. So that is the day that we chose to highlight the issue.
Now, if government does not, decrease the price, because the price is as is, and it seems to be staying. Now, what is the next step? Are we going to be seeing more protest action from the network?
Not at this point in time. We are now going back to our membership and have a chat with them and sit down on this and plan the way forward. Right? We give, right, the taxi drivers network gave the citizens of this country to come out and stand up and say enough is enough and hold the government accountable for the monies that they are now taking away from the pockets of the citizens of this country. We gave them that opportunity yesterday, right? Because as I said, we heard on many occasions the traveling public, the citizens of this country, even good taxi drivers and maxi drivers complaining concerning the money that they are losing every time the government dip into that fuel subsidy, right? So if they choose to not stand up and share their concern, we are saying again, don't complain.
Now, Mr. Acosta, I saw your press conference yesterday, and one of the things you would have mentioned is that taxi drivers are losing at least, I believe, $45, you would have said. How did you get the figure of $45, and will the customers have to absorb this price?
We did our own personal calculation, right? And we came up around $40 to $45, right? It depends on how much trip you make for the day, right? So that is just an average. That is not a nut and bolt decision. That's just an average around how much taxi drivers make different amount of trips when they come. Some make 2, some make 3, some make 4, some make 5. It depends on how long you want to work as a taxi driver, right? As a taxi driver, we basically not supposed to be working more than 8 hours a day, right? That's low, right? With a half an hour break. We as taxi drivers around this period now have to work at least 15 to 16 hours a day to make that to make our money to help do what we have to do. Right? If we don't work them hours, we don't make the money because of traffic jam. The place is slow. We now come out of a pandemic where we were running short, right? For 2 years and a half, we were basically the only essential service outside there losing money on a daily basis. Everybody else was collecting their salary on a weekly or a monthly basis.
Now, Mr. Acosta, the average that you're talking about, the $45, is it that the customers are going to, or the passengers, I would say, will have to absorb this cost? I mean, can we look out for another increase soon?
We have asked our membership to hold their hand on raising any fee at this point in time. But I want to make it clear, the network have no authority to tell any association don't raise their fare or don't make any adjustment to the fare increase, right? But we have asked them at this point in time because we understand that we now come out of a very our season where people are under pressure. We understand that, right? But we just as any other businessman. You can't run a business at a loss. Anybody who's running a business at a loss, at some point in time, the business is going to bust or it's going to close down, right? So we will try our best to see what we can do as taxi drivers to continue to serve the public.
Now, Mr. Acosta, one of the reasons for the reduction in the fuel subsidy would have been because, the government is thinking that they can use those funds for other important things that needs to be done in the country. I mean, what else, in your opinion, could the government have done rather than, increasing or, reducing the fuel subsidy? What other measures they could have taken, for example, to generate that revenue, in your opinion, of course?
Well, I just want to add something before I go into that. Do you know what have been done with the other 3 fuel subsidy? Could you tell me one thing that the government has done with the reducing of the fuel subsidy for the last 3 occasions that they did it before, right? And at the end of the day, right, I can name at least about 3 things that I believe that the government could do in order to raise funds to help run the country. One, stop renting all these private buildings to house government offices, right? One, that's millions of dollars going down the drain when the government have buildings with empty spaces where they can take the government offices and put them in it. That's one. Two, the government is heavily subsidizing PTSC and the water taxi from Port of Spain to San Fernando. The travel on that water taxi, it is costing a person. If the government stops subsidizing that water taxi, it will cost $130 to transport one passenger. That's the kind of money that the government is subsidizing with these two entities. PTSC have been running at a fare for the last umpteen years, about 25, 30 years now, right? Most of the passengers that travel on PTSC travel for free, right? So we are saying the government need to relook at these things and see where they can even break even or make it a little profitable, right? Because we don't get subsidized. Taxi drivers get absolutely nothing from the government of Trinidad and Tobago. We have to go outside and make our money on a daily basis, face traffic. And when you look at it, they are putting measures in place for PTSC work to be a lot easier, and our work as taxi drivers are getting harder on a daily basis, right? So we are saying that the government need to look into this thing. Two, three, we believe that if the refinery wasn't closed down at this point in time, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago would have been benefiting from the high price of oil that is going around at this point in time, because I think they budgeted the oil for $60 to $65 a barrel. Right now, a barrel of oil is about $125 to $130 a barrel. So by closing down the refinery, we have now put the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago under pressure, right? They are also buying gas from outside, right? When we would have been producing our own.
Now, Mr. Acosta, as you mentioned the issue of gas, yesterday you were saying that, the gas that you're getting now is of a lower quality. Can you explain that for us?
Yes, it is. Any of the motoring public will tell you that the gas we had before was a higher and a better grade than what we are receiving at this point in time. Many people have been complaining. I have heard people complaining about it on the radio. I have heard people complaining about different talk shows. So the gas that we are receiving at this point in time is of a lower grade than we had when we were refining our own gas.
Strong words there, Mr. Acosta. And you seem to have a lot in terms of how government can, generate revenue. So we'll see how that goes. But Mr. Acosta, thank you so much for coming. Sorry, you were saying something?
That's only 3 we have given you. We will provide about 10 things that the government can do to save money, other than taking away the fuel subsidy, which is supposed to benefit the citizens of the country, because I've said the government have taken away the fuel subsidy on 3 other occasions. And I can't say one thing up to now, how these citizens have benefited from that, right? We have some of the worst roads in the world, right? In the Caribbean, right? And we have a pitch lake here. And we are, our fixing of our cars is some of the highest in the world, right?
No, so Mr. the government Acosta, moves. You just mentioned that you can give us 10 suggestions. So I guess my final question to you is, did you document these and submit it to anybody to maybe, even consider?
We have made comments on some occasion, but we never put anything in writing. But that is one of the projects that we are going to be doing and forwarding that to the persons in authority, whether it's the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Works, the Prime Minister. We are going to be, that's one of our projects, moving forward to the future.
All right. Mr. Acosta, thank you so much for joining us on Now, and we will have you back sometime soon, and we'll be monitoring the situation as well. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and you have a wonderful day to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
You too, Mr. Acosta. Take care. And that was Mr. Adrian Acosta, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Taxi Drivers Network, just sharing his thoughts on, of course, the price increase. You're on the Now Morning Show on this 4/20 Wednesday. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Stay with us.